Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Speak Up Erika podcast. I'm your host, Erika, and this podcast talks about topics that we're afraid to speak up about but should. My guest today is Caroline. Hey, Caro.
Hello.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good. It's Friday.
I know. Yeah, we're recording this on a Friday. It's going to go out on Tuesday, but it is Friday. Good Friday.
Good Friday.
Yeah, I forgot. Usually for Good Friday, my grandparents would tell me that I can't go on any electronics for the whole day.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would usually be lying in bed all day doing nothing or reading a book or watching like Passion of Christ.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways.
How long have you been doing the electronics thing?
I did it till I was probably in high school. Like I wasn't, when I used to live in Milton with them, I wasn't allowed to like really do anything on Good Friday.
Nice.
Yeah, but things are different.
Yeah, now we're just working.
Yeah. Sorry, I digress. But Caro, before we start into our episode for today, could you give an introduction about yourself?
Yes. So I'm Caroline, also known as Vaybe. Vaybe is my artist name that I created. So I'm an artist, a painter, and I also consider myself as a creative. I do that part-time, and with my other part-time work, I'm a piano teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do in terms of working. Yeah, I guess we'll start from there.
Sounds good. Thank you, Caro. And for those of you who don't know or have never seen my Instagram page before, or I guess even my book, Caroline has been with me throughout the whole process, which is so crazy to think about and saying it out loud now. So I wrote the book in 2018 and asked Caroline if she would want to include her illustrations in the book. For anyone who's ever read it, those illustrations are by Caroline. And then, she sent me more illustrations, and those are the ones that I put all over Instagram. So yeah, now we're full circle and we're doing a podcast episode together, which is awesome.
I know, it's cool. Honestly, those drawings that I did at the time, I just drew them and they didn't really mean anything to me, but like what you've turned Speak Up into the podcast and your book, it's like now, even though they're just flowers, they seem so much more meaningful.
Yeah.
So when I see that you're posting them, I'm like, oh, just the flowers. But I'm like, wow, they mean so much to like Erika. So
yeah, I even got it tatted on me.
Yeah, like you've turned it into something so special. Yeah, that's so sick. Like that's like freaking cool.
Yeah. Oh man, what a journey that we've been. Before we get started into the episode, I wanted to ask Caroline some fun questions. So I'm gonna ask the first one. Would you rather be uncontrollably crying or uncontrollably laughing for the rest of your life? It's a really random one.
I would rather be uncontrollably laughing. I feel like I'm laughing all the time, so this is in my comfort zone.
That's true. Yeah, we're always laughing together. Last question. Would you rather not brush your teeth or not brush your hair?
Oh God. That's disgusting.
I know, both are so nasty.
Okay, definitely. I would rather. I want to say this right. I don't want to say the wrong one.
Like no wrong one though.
Well, in my books, I would rather choose to not brush my hair.
I'd probably choose the same.
Yeah, sometimes I don't brush my hair and it looks better. So
Interesting. Yeah.
it's better messy.
Yeah. Asking you these questions reminds me of the episode from Zoe 101. I don't know if you remember when Destin and Zoe were asking each other like the would you rather questions. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
would you rather lick peanut butter off a hobo's foot
yeah.
or something? I don't remember what the other one was, but
I love how you remember the exact question. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember hearing that.
yeah. I just remember because it was so disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So yes, our topic for today, we're gonna chat about what it's like being a creative and working from home, and then like all the burnout part and how we see ourselves in the future as well. I think my first question to kick us off: when did you first realize your love for art and music?
So I had been doing it prior to the realization. I had always been creative as a kid. Even since like the early age of like 4 and 5, I was coloring, drawing. Um, I even with my early childhood friend, like we would make videos like with video cameras, and we're like 6 and 7. So I was always creating, but it wasn't until I would say around the ages of 11 to 13, I started realizing that this is something I want to spend most of my time doing. Other than being a kid and going to school or hanging out with friends and family, I was like, this is all my time. This is
Mhm.
what I want to dedicate it to. So um, I started painting. Well, keep in mind, I was always drawing and doing art. Um, but when I started painting, it completely changed my world. It was just the next level, the next step. So I started doing that at the age of, I would say 14.
Mhm.
And then music, we had like a Casio keyboard at my house. That was a very 90s thing, just to have a random Casio somewhere. I would just fiddle on that, and I would like create little songs or play Disney songs. I started piano when I was 11 years old. I started
Mhm.
taking lessons. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we started taking piano lessons around the same time too. Yeah, we used to talk about piano all the time together. And it's oh sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, this morning I was preparing just for the podcast. I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk to Erica. But one of the thoughts I had is I remember, like, keep in mind, Erica and I have known each other for a very long time. We used to carpool to school together in like grade 5, I think, that maybe
Yeah.
that started.
We met at in grade 4, so we were
Yeah.
8 years old when we met. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I used to get dropped off to your house, and I remember you like played something. Sorry, I used to get dropped off to your house so that we would go to school together in the morning. And
Yeah.
I remember I would just sit and wait for you guys because I would get there earlier. You guys are still having breakfast, and you played something on the piano,
Oh
and you
my
were
god.
like really good.
Really?
I just remember being
Wow.
like, wow.
Really? That's so funny. I was
Yeah.
reminiscing about my relationship with piano, and that I feel like because I don't know if it was from the episode that I did with Edlin about being Asian, and I feel like being growing up as like Asian, you have to play piano. I don't know if that's like a thing or not, but it's like a common thing that parents want their kids to do. So I feel like I was never good or never practiced because I kept ignoring it. Like I was like, "Ugh, I don't want to do piano, but I guess I'll do it because
Yeah.
yeah, like it felt like a chore to me." So that's funny that you said I was good because I don't know. I didn't think I was a good piano player at all. And then when I saw you play and I was like, "Oh shit, like she's a natural, like she got this." But yeah, that's
I wouldn't
hilarious.
say natural. I have to work my butt off to
Yeah.
play something, but thank you. Thank you.
So, Caroline, I know before your Instagram name was Art by Caro, and then you transitioned and rebranded to Vaybe Art. Can you share a little bit about that and like your why that you transitioned?
Yeah, I think It's because well, a lot of things, but my Instagram account for my business, it's strictly just business. So I follow a few amount of people, and the some of the people that I follow are other creatives, other artists, and I know that they're more memorable when they have like a quirky or specific name. Like
Mhm.
I like that. So I didn't want to stay as Art by Caro.
Mhm.
I just want to differentiate myself.
Yes,
Sorry,
yeah.
complicated word. From the rest of the crowd. Um, so yeah, baby. I created the name of it. It's basically a combination of two things. So I wanted a word to describe my art. I thought vibe. My art has a certain vibe to it,
Mhm.
whatever that may be. So I took the V from that word, and then the other thing is my just remembering my mom who passed away. Um, Her family nickname was Baby because she was the baby in her entire family. She was the youngest out of 10
Yeah.
10 siblings. And yeah, I just wanted to keep her close with me. I wish she was here to see where what I've become, I guess.
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep her name close with me. So I combined the two, V plus baby equals
Baby.
baby.
I love it. That's amazing. Thank you. So, yeah, Caroline, I guess sometimes people see doing art and doing music as more of just a hobby rather than a career, I guess you could say. How was it like going into university and taking the arts? Was there any backlash, I guess, for you doing that?
I would say artists do deal with backlash. There's a misconception within, I would say, all ages that making, like doing the arts as a career, there's always going to be this downside. It's not stable. So that does come with the position of having these jobs. That's always going to be there because art is, it's almost like a luxury. People pay to have that luxury, but others find, oh, I don't really need art. I can get by without it.
Mhm.
But that's not always true. Like people do love the arts. It makes us feel good and whatnot. We enjoy it for our own experiences. I'm going to go back to your question though. My mom raised me and she was really smart. So I feel like I'm always learning stuff about her. And I noticed that when I started taking piano lessons, she was very serious about it. She was like, you need to continue doing this, you need to practice. Because I did go through the phase where I didn't want to practice anymore. Not that I wanted to quit piano, but to learn an instrument, you got to spend a lot of time with it. I think maybe she realized that I am probably going to do this for a long time. And she also sees me drawing. So she probably noticed that I'm excelling at the arts and I can't take that for granted.
Mhm.
I cannot waste any time taking a break from it. I need to be active with it throughout my youth.
Right.
So that was always a priority. It's so weird when we're children or kids, like children or teens, like whatever we're doing, it flows with us into adulthood.
So crazy.
And now here I am. I've made it my priority. I do both as a job. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was her mostly just the strictness and the
Mhm.
discipline. And I know like sometimes being very strict as a parent, it's not the most fun thing for a child, but
Mhm.
sometimes the parent is doing the what they think is best for their own child.
Mhm. Yeah. That's so true. That's awesome. I feel like sometimes some parents they see like, oh wow, they're really really good soccer players, so they're like, let's take soccer seriously, like maybe it can be a thing. And I feel like that's kind of what it's reminding me of. As your mom seeing you grow up, she's like, whoa, she's really good at this, like let's like do the most and see how she can take it into a career. Like she was planning ahead of your future for you, that
Right.
like when we're working and doing like theory and piano and stuff, or like groaning about it, but then we don't really think about our future in that same way as kids. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so.
that's very true.
So now that you're doing arts and music as a job, how has it changed since you've switched to just working from home? And like, I guess what were you doing before, and then what are you doing now, and how different is that for you?
So, um, believe it or not, not much has changed. If anything has happened, it's been better.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, though, the working from home, I am extremely grateful for the home that I have to be able to work. Without the home that I'm living in, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing. So I'm just glad that I have a safe space and it allows me to create. I have my art studio within my home. I have just enough space to get work done. And then I also teach lessons online virtually. And yeah, I have a piano here. So I'm able to do everything from home. The transition, it was a lot of work in terms of teaching music. I work for a music school within Milton, and I also have my private students that I teach. They're from Oakville, but the transition wasn't too bad. It was a lot of work though. I got really good at emailing because you need to communicate with families and stuff. So now I'm just cool with emailing. Emailing used to give me mad anxiety before.
We talked about that before.
Yeah, it still gives me anxiety, but yeah, I'm grateful. The students have adapted to being online,
Hmm.
and then making art from home. I'll give you a little insight. This is something I do not really tell people, but I actually had the idea way before the pandemic that maybe I could try moving to LA. I have
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I got my cousins there,
Yeah.
moving to LA and like starting out as an artist there. It's I'm laughing because it's like no. um, so I wanted to do that, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Oh wow. Yeah.
A lot has happened in my life where a lot of changes have happened, and I'm content with where I am. But I've learned that being an artist and the way I'm doing it, all what I really need is a studio. I need equipment and
Mm-hmm.
Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to do it online and it works. So I didn't have to move so far away. I could just do everything online.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's funny because I remember, so Caroline and I, we went to LA together with our other friend Danielle. And I remember you being like, no, like this is it. I want to go to LA kind of thing. And this was a while ago if you think about it. But it's funny because being virtually, you're able to connect with people that are in LA and able to get your work out in different places of the world. So it's like even not just LA, like New York maybe, or I don't know, wherever other continents. I'm so bad at geography, but
Yeah.
it's so cool how you can expand your work now virtually as a creative. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the world is adapting to creatives being accessible online.
Mhm.
Like people want to see creatives and you just find them online.
Yeah, it's so
Their
true.
work has to be accessible.
Mhm. Do you find that teaching your kids online, it's hard to get their attention, or it's this exact same as if it was in class?
It is not exactly the same.
Yeah.
Teaching online is It's a lot of work. I find that, let's say I will teach for like 5 hours straight.
Yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
have a break because I just want to get it over and done with, and I'm already in the flow of it.
Yeah.
Um, After I do 5 hours of teaching online, really what it feels like is like I worked an 8 hour day because being online, it's just a different flow. It's difficult for the kids sometimes. Sometimes kids are not really about looking at a screen and talking to someone. You know, they're
Mhm.
still in their early stages of like developing social skills.
100%, yeah.
Um, so I've had I've noticed some kids struggle as well. With online, the advice I would give when communicating with someone is try to just be as authentic as you can. Don't try to put up a front or like a stage performance of, oh,
Mm,
I'm going to present it this way, because it doesn't get received that well if you're not really taking in how the other person is feeling or receiving the information.
that's so true. Because we're doing everything online, like before the pandemic, we were used to not being on the screens all the time. How do you deal with screen fatigue? And I know that this was something that we were talking about kind of before this too. Do you get and experience that?
Yeah, I do. I experience it often when teaching, but like, I don't know. I just, it's something I just kind of brush off. Maybe that's not such a good thing. Like, don't ask me for advice. But so I just try to stay focused when working. I've been teaching for about 7 years, so I'm used to it at this point. But usually after I teach, sometimes I still got work to do. I gotta type up the students' homework. I gotta send some emails. So I try to separate that. I push that off, and then I'll watch a show. Like I just need to do like something that's like no stress on my brain. Like I really just
Mhm.
need that brain break.
Mhm. I know you said that you have your own studio at home and you have your own space to play piano and do your work. Do you find that it's hard to separate or find that home work life balance? I know, like before, you were doing all your artwork in your room in Milton, and it must have been so hard. Like your room was pretty small too, so it's like to find. You said you would like paint on your bed and stuff. So yeah, I guess like can you share more about your work life balance being at home and finding that the division of space?
This is a great question because this is a question that I'm constantly experiencing. Um, Being an artist and also working from home, it's kind of a new experience for me, living in my own space. So I've been living on my own for about
Almost
a year and a
2 years.
half,
Yeah.
a year and a half now. Um, okay, this is tough because oh my God. The thing is about, maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe other artists can relate or other creatives. I never stop working.
Mhm.
I just don't. And it's not good. Now, keep in mind, I don't think I could ever do the 9 to 5 job. I admire people who do that type of work because that's long hours and it's scheduled, it's consistent. The way I work, it's like I could do consistent work for 3 hours and then push it 6 hours later, and then I end up doing 5 hours. The thing is, I just never stop working because I am so focused on challenging myself. I want to grow. I want to see what I'm capable of. So I've noticed that even my social life has changed. Well, also because of the pandemic. That's also part of it.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, I don't really stop working. It's tough because sometimes I reach kind of like the burnout stage and I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to stop. Like
Mhm.
I usually realize the burnout stage not while it's building, but when it just boom, it happens.
Mhm. Yeah. I guess that kind of leads to my next question because I know we wanted to talk about creative burnout too. Um, yeah, I guess like how do you when you experience that boom, like I'm burnt out, what do you usually do and what kind of like I guess emotions that happen and yeah, if you don't mind sharing, what do you go through?
So it's something I still experience and I'm still
Mhm.
learning to deal with it. But I have
Mhm.
tried different methods and some have them, like, they do work. So if there's anything that uh, can help someone else, hopefully.
Yeah.
um, so for aiding a creative burnout, usually I feel like crap. I feel so guilty. That's like one of the main emotions I think creatives feel. They always feel guilty for some reason.
Mhm. Like they're not doing enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a battle with yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's
Like,
not like people are like, "Oh, why didn't you create more art today?" or something. It's just you telling yourself that kind of thing.
yeah, like
Mm.
it's like we choose to put ourselves in this position. It's not like someone's like, "Hey, are you coming to this event? Hey, are you replying to this? Hey, are you do—" It's things we've brought upon ourselves because we
Yeah.
choose this life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, we just I guess that's where the guilt comes from. But yeah, I feel like crap and then I'm always like I need to create. I need to be happy. I need to be loving my work, but it doesn't always feel like that. Sometimes it feels like shit.
Mhm.
So when dealing with that, so usually in those stages, I already feel like crap, just struggling at that point.
Mhm.
I like I need to mentally talk to myself because uh, sometimes I don't get it. So sometimes I'll literally just this sounds so weird, but I'll literally be like, Caroline, you're gonna be okay. Right now, you're in a funk. You need to snap out of it, and this is
Mhm.
what we're gonna do.
Mhm. Mm. I don't think that's weird at all. I think, like, some people, um, like, deal with the burnout and stress in different ways. In some ways, it's writing, in some ways, it's, like, shopping, which isn't the best. But I was also talking to my friend, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm not really a journaling person, like, I need to talk it out." And then I was
Mhm.
suggesting, "Oh, maybe you can do voice notes to yourself." Because that's just how people process it differently. And that's exactly what, not the voice note part, but you're just talking to yourself out loud, right? So I think that's a really cool way to like handle it. Like,
Wow, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
it's the same way as like, oh, people are more visual or people are more data driven. Like they understand things in a different light, I guess you could say, or deal with things in a different light. So that's
Mhm.
just how you're doing it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not weird at all.
I would say though, for maintaining at least the good parts of being a creative, like just maintaining my sanity.
Yeah.
I learned something about myself is that I have to be doing something physical.
Mm.
I think I just in general, I'm a person like I used to be very shy, so all of these thoughts are just always running through my head. You know, I'm not being very vocal, so I'm still a shy kid at heart. Um, but yeah, I would just always be having these voices in my head. So my head is always about to explode.
Mm.
So what I do is I'll take a break from work, even though I said I always work. I try to manage to fit in some time with hanging out with friends, family. I have to exercise. I think exercise it just does wonders because your body is trying to I guess take control. Like you can't be like worrying about something and you're like in this weird position trying to fight resistance,
Yeah.
right? And oh, I also love cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Cooking's very therapeutic for me.
I know I've heard the term like music therapy and art therapy. And since like that's what you do as work, do you consider your work as part of like a therapy thing or no?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this goes along with what I was saying. Like my brain is just always just thinking thoughts and just talking to myself all the time. Like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. So when I do art, especially art compared to music, when I create art, I do receive that break.
Mhm.
I focus on something for like 5 hours, 3 hours. It just feels so good. My mind feels free, but I'm also doing something productive at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. With, of course, like the pandemic is right now, and we just got put into another 28-day lockdown. Um, I think a lot of people who are dealing with stress and anxiety, they've all of their outlets have been kind of taken away. Like usually we're so used to seeing friends and going out and traveling and doing things that now we're restricted to. And me and you, we always, well, for the past year and a bit now, all we've done when we hung out with each other is hang out virtually. So I guess, do you have tips for yourself with like the whole just being a creative in general and also dealing with mental health and being a creative during this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, I have to say it's so tough for many people.
Yeah.
Um, Everyone is battling it, even though it may look good online. It's not. We all have our own journeys that we're on. We all have our own story that we're just trying to get through.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know, like, okay, my tips, I don't, maybe it might resonate with some people, maybe not, but I would say that since the pandemic has happened, I noticed that people spend a lot of energy in conversation with others. They just dwell on the pandemic and its
True.
negative effects. And there's so much energy put towards that conversation that then we have no more energy to say what we're going to do about it or
Mm.
what difference can we make even though this is happening.
Mhm. That's true.
Um, I would say that for artists, I think the ones who do keep creating, uh, we're not so much really dwelling on what's happening. I think it's a step forward. We're kind of pushing through it.
Mhm.
So I would just say let's not dwell too much on what's happening. Take a break from the news, six buzz, social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, what really matters here? It's you, and you're still alive. You're capable of so much. Try to separate yourself from society, and it's all the drama.
Yeah, that's great advice, Carol. Yeah, thank you. I definitely agree. I feel like whenever people are meeting up virtually and doing like, oh, let's play games and stuff, sometimes all we always start off by talking about the pandemic or like, oh, pandemic. Like every single conversation, it's always about this topic. And um like as a server before, as like working in customer service before, the small talk would always be the weather, but now the small talk is always the pandemic. So it's that's really good advice to like separate ourselves from that and focus on what's really important.
Yeah, just
Mhm.
just to do it. Um, I mean, we're still gonna have those conversations. I still talk about the pandemic. It's our
Yeah,
life.
for
Like
sure,
we're
for sure.
literally just living in it. But if we could just grab that moment of being with a person or just being with yourself, and you're like, wow, this had nothing to do with the pandemic or the feelings that everyone is feeling. It was just I was in this moment doing this thing and it happened.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, so other tips for creatives. I'm going to talk about something. There is a demand for putting it on social media. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of a touchy topic for some, in the sense that I know there are artists out there. I have friends, like musicians, who are just like, why do I have to subject myself to put everything online? Why does it have to be this way? Because not everyone's art form can be received online. Some of this stuff is like an experience, it has to be in person. So the struggle is real. What I would say is, if you really want your art to be received by many people, I would encourage you, yes, go online, put yourself out there on different platforms, and you will receive, I guess, what you're looking for, like whatever you want out of it. It's a great place to get that audience because they're there.
Mhm.
Um, but for others who don't look at social media as a way of expressing themselves and putting their work on there, you don't have to. I know other artists who, or creatives, who don't put their work on social media and they're still successful.
Hmm. How do they
I
get their success, I guess, if it's not on social media?
um I I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was prior to the pandemic that they were doing everything in person, showing up to this event, that event, and participating. And maybe they already have their, what is it, their foot in the door, sort of,
Mhm.
like they're already in the community.
Right, yeah.
Um, so that was prior to the pandemic, but it's still possible.
Mhm. Would you say that if you're not hitting social media, and I guess that artist that you're talking about who's excelling without putting themselves on social media, the way they're excelling is because of networking and that they found an audience that can connect with their work?
Yeah, I think
Mm,
so. Yeah,
yeah,
it's possible.
yeah.
And also just being real as a person, like
Mm,
let's say you're not on social media, but you already have these network of people. People are going to gravitate to you for who you are.
yeah,
So you don't have to like go on social media and you're like, "Oh, now I got to do all this stuff."
yeah.
No, there's other means and ways. Social media is always changing. It is not going to stay the same. So if you're a creative out there, keep creating and don't feel like you have to follow society's norms and subject yourself to something that you're not comfortable doing.
Mhm.
Um, I would say just keep creating and even just create for yourself.
Yeah, I feel like that's with a lot of, other creatives that I talk to, they have a hard time creating for themselves, especially for social media, because they feel like they have to create certain things that people in their audience will like, not exactly what they like, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I am a subject of that. I have experienced that. It's so weird. Um, Again, these platforms, when you get into them, when you really want to like see the numbers grow, you want to get feedback, you do have to alter the way you create your work and present your content.
Mhm,
It just
mhm.
comes with it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just part of the package.
Yeah.
I guess my final tip is
Mhm.
also to build confidence in yourself. This is something that takes years and years. As artists, we always feel we're like little humble people. Well, some of us. Um, yeah, some artists are like, yeah, look at my work; it's the best. Like you could totally get that vibe from some people, and you're just like, yikes.
Yeah.
Um, like they already have the confidence, but then they got to work on how to be humble.
Yeah, yeah, that's so funny.
But I would say what has gotten me so far is building my confidence, because I was always a shy kid, and that is my mental struggle. Um, like not being able to speak, and I'm in the arts. Like, I do music, I do art, I even did like acting when I was a kid, and I literally had like no lines. I had like one line and I was even too shy to say it. So I've just been on this path of building confidence, getting your voice out there, finding out what your voice is. It doesn't happen like instantly. It takes
Mm-mm. Mhm.
time, and you just get to know yourself a bit more.
Mhm. Oh, that's awesome advice too. Thank you, Caro. I think people will definitely be able to resonate with the tips in some type of way. Yeah, thank you so much, Caroline, for that advice. I think that even if you're not a creative, that it can resonate with people who are doing the 9 to 5 and still can't find their voice, or, other people who are not in the arts, it can still help them in some way. Yeah, my last question for you before we end off is, how do you see yourself as a creative in the future and your work?
Um, I guess like I it's not that I have like these big dreams to make it off and have a big hit. I The future I see is just what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I love what I do. It makes me so happy, although there's so many struggles that come along with it.
Mhm.
But I would love to spend more time working on art, seeing where that can take off,
Mhm.
in terms of selling my work and making different merch or prints that are accessible uh, to people more in a convenient way.
Mhm.
Right now, I just paint acrylic on canvases.
Right.
So just trying to broaden my horizons with art. I don't know. I just kind of go with the flow. I know where I am now. In 10 years, it might be different. So we'll
Mhm.
see.
Maybe we'll see you in LA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be freaking cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Caroline. I'm so happy we got to do this episode together, and talk about being a creative. I feel like, so Caroline and I, we actually meet with each other once a month and we talk about marketing and just like how we can grow as people and stuff. So it's so funny to see how we were as kids, to see how crazy we were as teenagers, and then like toning it down and talking business shit like as
Yeah.
adults, like our journey together. I'm happy we got to
We
like do this episode. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
we
Well,
have literally grown. Like, Erica, would you consider yourself a shy kid?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was so shy as a kid too, and maybe that's why we were friends.
Yeah, no, literally, we were so shy. Like, we're comfortable in our inner circle,
Yes,
but
yeah.
it's just so cool. Like, being a creative, it really forces you to put yourself out there, and I think that's the best thing we can get from it. Like, just being such an introverted person.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's so many benefits to it.
Yeah, we were, we are definitely shy to the outside world or people who don't really know us, but with like inner circle, definitely we're like crazy, crazy.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Like, people cannot tolerate us,
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, we did some crazy stuff. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm like thinking about everything we went through together, but
Yeah.
yeah. um, could you share with us how we can support you and your work?
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm on the gram, I'm on Instagram. If you guys don't go on Instagram, um, I'm there. I spend a lot of time on there. Um, you can follow me at Vaybe.art, and that's spelled Vaybe, and then
Mhm,
just art.
mhm,
If anyone has any like questions or they need some help, like, I do spend a lot of time messaging every single person. I try to do that as best as I can. If you need advice or a second opinion on something, like,
mhm,
I want to be there for you.
mhm,
I'll try my best to do that. And then right now my website is in the work. It's launching very soon, but that yeah. Yay, finally. Girl, after so many freaking months. Um that website link, it's just going to be vaybe.ca.
Awesome. Yeah. These things take time, like to produce good work. So yeah, it doesn't matter if it takes you months to do. It's like it's brewing. It's brewing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caroline, for sharing your artwork. So you can follow Caroline at vaybe.art on Instagram. And if you're having trouble finding her, she's tagged all over my Instagram as well at Speak Up Erika. So all of the artwork is hers on my page too. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Caroline, for being part of this episode and sharing your insights with us as a creative and just like working from home in the struggle. It's been hard, but I think it's really helpful to see your perspective on how you're doing your business. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and this opportunity. Um, it's not easy for everyone being a creative and working from home,
Mm-hmm.
or just being you. Like times are tough now.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this stuff resonates with some people in some way or form. And also shout out to Erika, Speak Up, and the podcast, the book. It's just I love it. I love what you're doing here. You've grown so much as a person. That's freaking cool.
Thanks, Caroline.
um, I'm gonna be with you on the way. So yeah, I really love that you're doing this. It's not easy for I guess our circle of people our age to be openly talking about this. Sometimes we forget to talk about our well-being.
I
So
know. We get caught up in like, I guess, the rat race or, you know, get caught up on social media because that's like we're all stuck online now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you, Caroline.
yeah, no worries. You're
Yeah.
you're doing something very special. So I'm proud to have you as my friend doing that.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry in this episode. Okay, before we start crying, thank you again, Caroline. Thank you to everyone who has listened. And see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.